Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Andre Whitehead radio show. And let me say thank you, thank you to so many of you who tuned in to the broadcast last week. Tell a friend that we're on for the second edition as we come to you every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And as we always say, our broadcasts stay up on the social media platforms of Facebook, YouTube, and we're still working to get all of the shows up on Instagram, so be patient with us. We've got another great show for you. So once again, thanks for tuning in to the Andre Whitehead radio show, produced by Whitehead Media Ventures. Let's get started.
Yeah. Turn it up real quick. You're now locked in with the Andre Whitehead radio show. Independence has its value. Let it ring loud. Different voices, real choices, breaking out the crowd. From the streets to the ballroom, from the mic to the soul. Andre Whitehead Radio, yeah, we in control. Yeah. Business features, spotlight dreams, entrepreneurs building kingdoms, all visions and schemes. Free gifts for the people, yeah, we give back love. Community first, got the city rise above. News you can trust, no smoke, no game. What's really going on, yeah, we say it plain. Family fun, keep the kids all smiling. Radio waves with the heart so inspiring. Independence has its value. Feel the vibration. Truth on the airwaves. Real conversation. From the hood to the hills. Every voice has a role. Andre Whitehead Radio. Mind, body, soul. Yeah. Non-profit voices get a seat at the table. Helping hands, strong hearts. Making change when we able. Politics talk straight. No spin, no disguise. Just facts. Different views. Let the people decide. Community service. Boots on the ground. Not just talk on the mic. We be moving around. Sports talk fire. Every win, every loss. From the playground dreams to the championship calls. Upcoming events. Mark the date. Special features, don't be late. Culture, unity, elevation. Independent voice for the next generation. Next generation.
I love that opening. All right, welcome to the Andre Whitehead radio show. I am he. I'm excited to have you all join me again. In today's show, we will continue with many of the segments that we brought you last week. We'll hear more from the outgoing police chief, Ryan Zudema. Also, Dr. Keith Anderson returns to talk about dealing with grief and loss. Our special segment called Thinking Out Loud returns as well. And our time with Pierre Thomas, ABC correspondent, will continue. However, in light of the shooting in Minneapolis, we'll hear from some of our political leaders giving their takes. We start by hearing from the Vice President, J.D. Vance, and on the Democrat side, Alexandria Cortez.
Somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline, I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement, this was an attack on law and order, this was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
I would not say that assassinating a young mother of three in the street is part of ICE's mandate. ICE specifically has a mandate that has nothing to do with going after U.S. citizens. Watch the video for yourself. You don't have to worry about the politics with me or what I'm going to say or what anyone else is going to say. Watch that video for yourself, and you will see a woman trying to back up her vehicle and leave a volatile scene. And she was met with 3 bullets to the face. You tell me, and any law enforcement officer in the country worth their salt can tell you that that is not how you handle that situation. And so the fact that ICE receives less training, this started with Patriot Act, post 9/11 violation of American civil liberties, and it continues in that strain.
You're listening to the Andre Whitehead radio show, where we appreciate you all so very much for joining us today as we take a break from our segments and we talk about hear from, I should say, some of our political leaders concerning the shooting in Minneapolis. At this time, we're going to take you to comments now from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey, the Director of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and we'll hear from a physician and political leader, Representative Kelly Morrison. And don't forget, our segments from last week will continue, so stay tuned. This is the Andre Whitehead radio show, produced by Whitehead Media Ventures.
The killing of Renee Nicole Good is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. There is absolutely no justification for her death. Kristi Noem, the so-called Secretary of Homeland Security, has zero credibility. She is a stone-cold liar. ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are out of control, and Congress needs to step into this situation. Republicans should stop burying their heads in the sand, and we're going to make sure that this masked ICE agent who pulled the trigger is criminally investigated to the full extent of the law and held accountable for this unnecessary death.
You know, people need to stop using their vehicles as weapons. This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism, because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way while they go out there and try to disrupt peace and public safety. And Americans deserve better.
And this is one of the most painful things of that whole episode, is a physician was there offering to render help and aid to this woman who had just been shot in the head and he was refused access to someone who was apparently still alive. Again, I go back to, this is a human being. These are human beings. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and have access to potentially life-saving medical care.
I want to ask you something as a physician. You and I have talked many times about that part of your history. We've been watching the 4 videos that are out there and examining them, mostly with respect to guns and angles and the car and where the steering wheel was and where the car was pointed. One thing that has been missed is the fact that there was a doctor on site who attempted to render aid and was prevented from doing so and was told, we have our medics on the way. There is no world at all in which a doctor should not be permitted, if they seek to help. In fact, you take an oath about this. You are compelled to try and help someone. And it doesn't matter whether they are a criminal or not a criminal, a citizen, not a criminal. It doesn't matter.
That's exactly right. And this is one of the most painful things of that whole episode, is a physician was there offering to render help and aid to this woman who had just been shot in the head, and he was refused access to someone who was apparently still alive. Again, I go back to, this is a human being. These are human beings. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and have access to potentially life-saving medical care.
I want to ask you something as a physician. You and I have talked many times about that part of your history. We've been watching the 4 videos that are out there and examining them, mostly with respect to guns and angles and the car and where the steering wheel was and where the car was pointed. One thing that has been missed is the fact that there was a doctor on site who attempted to render aid and was prevented from doing so and was told, we have our medics on the way. There is no world at all in which a doctor should not be permitted, if they seek to help. In fact, you take an oath about this. You are compelled to try and help someone. And it doesn't matter whether they are a criminal or not a criminal, a citizen, not a criminal. It doesn't matter.
That's exactly right. And this is one of the most painful things of that whole episode, is a physician was there offering to render help and aid to this woman who had just been shot in the head, and he was refused access to someone who was apparently still alive. Again, I go back to, this is a human being. These are human beings. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and have access to potentially life-saving medical care.
Well, what are your thoughts? What are your takes on the shooting in Minneapolis? You can give us a comment, or you can leave us a message or even text 434-528-9828. Stay tuned. As I mentioned, our segments from last week will continue with Dr. Keith Anderson, Pierre Thomas, ABC correspondent. We interviewed Ryan Zuderman before he left the Lynchburg Police Department. And our Thinking Out Loud segment continues with Miss Phyllis Johnson. Our broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Caskey and Frost with Senator and Attorney Mark Peake. If you need some legal help, be sure to give Senator Peake a call with Caskey and Frost. 434-846-2731. The Andre Whitehead Show continues in a moment.
I'm Laura Goldman with Whitehead Media Ventures, and we want to thank you for tuning in to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. We want to help you promote your organization and events. So give us a call today at 434-528-9828 or shoot us an email at whiteheadmediaventures@gmail.com. We can't wait to serve you.
This is Sheriff Don Sloan for the City of Lynchburg, and I'm excited to talk about Lynchburg Project Lifesaver. Lynchburg Project Lifesaver is a program that the Lynchburg Sheriff's Office started in 2002. It's a life-saving program that uses tracking technology for those individuals in our community that have dementia or Down syndrome or some mental-related disorder that may cause them to wander from their caregiver. And this program provides life-saving technology to find them, locate them, and historically, we've had over 115 successful searches and safe returns since we started the program. And it's just a great program that we offer to our community. And those that need this service, should they wander away, Historically, we have found them within 30 minutes or less. And so we invite you, for more information, to contact Lynchburg Sheriff's Office at 434-847-1301 if we can be of assistance to you. Lord bless. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. For news, current affairs, business features, special segments, family fun, politics, personal profiles, and so much more, we'd like to assist you. Contact us at Whitehead Media Ventures today. Call 434-528-9828 or email us at whiteheadmediaventures@gmail.com. Let us help you.
Hello and welcome back to the Andre Whitehead Show. We thank you so much for tuning in and spread the word for us. Let everyone know that we bring you new episodes every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We really, really appreciate you. We also appreciate our friends at Heritage Connection Gifts and Tailoring. They're at 915 Main Street in the city of Lynchburg. Stop by and tell them we sent you. Coming up, you'll hear from former chief of the LPD, Ryan Zuma. Just before he left, we interviewed him back in September. This is part 2 of that time. And our Thinking Out Loud segment with Phyllis Johnson continues. Dr. Keith Anderson continues to talk about dealing with difficult times. And at this time, we take you to part 2 of my interview. From a while back, we interviewed him for television. This is Pierre Thomas, ABC's senior correspondent.
Pierre, you've done so many stories. I just, out of curiosity, what would you say are some of your most memorable stories? And what, if there is such a thing, what would be a story that you want to tell that you may not have had the opportunity to get developed yet?
That's a tough question. Every story I do, I put everything I have into it, whether it's a short story, long story, mid-level story. And I tell some of the young journalists, if you get used to sprinting, and that's what you do all the time, when other people are walking and you may be jogging, you're still moving faster than other people. And so obviously covering 9/11 was, incredible story to cover, to be in the midst of. I actually happened to be in New York when the attacks happened, and next thing I know, I was on set with Peter Jennings, and I remember him being in complete command of the story, how horrific it was. There was one point when one of the towers fell, and he raised his hand in the air to tell all of us not to say anything. Now, how he had the wherewithal and the acumen to know that sometimes there are no words. And so we all watched that building come tumbling down. And, I just remember that being both a horrific moment, but one where I learned a lot about, at the end of the day, television's about the people. It's about the events that you cover, not you. And so that's a memorable story. Obviously covering the various mass shooting events, Virginia Tech. It's funny, we won Murrow Awards and Emmys for some of that coverage, but you never look at those awards and have a feeling of joy. It's a feeling of, hopefully we did a good job that day, but you can't really embrace it because of the event that you covered. I covered a story, one of the more emotional stories I've ever covered was involving a little boy who was on the autism spectrum, who was kidnapped by a deranged man who lived in his neighborhood, who killed his bus driver. And then the story was how the FBI saved that young man from the clutches of the crazed local man who took him into a bunker underground. And that turned into a 2020 project, and just digging into that story and interviewing the FBI SWAT people and interviewing the profilers a key profiler for the FBI, and also interviewing the wife of the bus driver who literally gave his life to try to protect the children on his bus.
Wow.
That was a story that I remember. And I will say the interview that I did with Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who was caught up in the insurrection at the Capitol, and getting the first television network interview with him as he described that story of being called the N-word, or what it was truly like inside the Capitol. That's a story I won't soon forget.
Some of our mutual friends in the National Association of Black Journalists were excited to know that I would have this interview with you today. And they said to ask you if you got your interview with LeBron James yet.
No. So that's a bucket list. No. I'm a see, I was supposed to be an objective journalist, but I'm a LeBron James fan. So I don't know if I can pull that off one day. Maybe I could do some kind of essay with him or something. But yeah, that would be an interview that I would enjoy doing for sure.
Interesting. You mentioned diversity, and of course, you are, again, at the pinnacle of your career, according to so many different people. Talk about the importance of diversity in our field of journalism. As you know, I've been an independent journalist for now 32 years, and I get to speak occasionally. And young Black folks always want to talk about how they can get in to the business and the importance of seeing folks who look like them on the big screen, if you will, doing what you do. Talk about the importance of diversity in our field of work.
Well, right now we at ABC News are very proud to have Kim Godwin, who's an African-American woman, to lead our network, to be the president of ABC News. And let me just sum up how I feel about diversity. I think any newsroom is enhanced by having a diverse group of people, not just based on race, but also gender and other factors. Because the more you reflect the country that you serve, there are just moments when that becomes advantageous. And I just think it's good policy, it's common sense, it's the right thing to do. And all those things make it what should be a priority in news divisions. Because there just might be, and I'm not saying that every African-American correspondent needs to cover African-American stories. As the Chief Justice correspondent of ABC News, I cover every kind of story, from national security to occasionally international stories to crime to terrorism, whatever. Those are not quote unquote Black stories. But there are moments when the fact that I am an African-American man and have experienced certain things that may inform how I approach a story or how I pursue a story. And so for that reason, I just think diversity is not only the right thing to do, it's a good thing to do, and it's good business, because America is becoming more and more diverse by the day. And I think one of the things I'm very proud of is when you turn on ABC News, you will see a variety of people, and hopefully everyone who's watching our various platforms will see someone that looks like them, reminds them of themselves, but also just reflects reality.
We'll take a commercial break. We thank you all for tuning in to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show, as we come to you every Tuesday with a fresh episode from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. We're bringing you the show in a radio format here on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Spread the word for us. If we can help you with your advertising and or promotion in any way, shape, or form, just give me a call, 434-528-9828. When we come back from break, we'll hear more from Pierre Thomas. And we also will bring back those segments from last week with Brian Zudema, our Thinking Out Loud segment, and Dr. Keith Anderson continues to talk about dealing with difficult times. Our broadcast is brought to you by our friends at PAC Law Group, specializing in helping you with your legal matter, especially personal injury. Visit paclawgroup.com.
Hey folks, Mark Dalton here with Terry VW Subaru. All of us here at Terry Otter Group have been working night and day to put together a team that's second to none. From our professional sales staff, factory-trained technicians, our lifetime powertrain warranty on new cars, to our pre-owned inventory selection that is second to none. You just won't find a better playbook than the one right here at the Terry Auto Group. So when you have automotive needs, browse us 24/7 at terryautogroup.com. You'll love our cars.
Hello, I'm Lake Alexandria Whitehead with Whitehead Media Ventures, and we would like to thank you all for tuning in to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. And if you are interested in some promotion and advertising, you can give us a call. Our number is 434-528-9828. We'll hear from you soon. Give us a call today, and we'll be happy to help.
When you're looking for a criminal defense attorney, you need to call the Pack Law Group, 540-586-7225. Again, that's 540-586-7225.
You're listening to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. Independent broadcasting gives us the opportunity to assist our clients in ways others can't. We're not owned by any conglomerate or group of companies taking advantage of our organizations. Our independence provides you the most affordable promotional rates in the region. Don't wait. Call our independent firm today at 434-528-9828. That's 434-528-9828. Now, I'll wait a second so you can jot down the number. Again, the number is 434-528-9828. We are waiting for you.
Hello and welcome back to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. We are super excited to have you return for our second episode, and we are so thankful to all of you for spreading the word and for tuning in. We are excited. Hey, don't miss my television show. It happens every Sunday at 9 a.m. and early Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. on the CW network. My TV show is also in Hopewell, Chester, and Petersburg, Virginia, Sundays 9 a.m. and then Mondays 5 p.m. on WTJV Channel 3. My hour-long television show is in all of Tidewater, all of Hampton Roads, every Saturday, 7 a.m. on WGNT. Don't miss the TV show. At this time, I want to take you back to my interview from a while back with White House correspondent, the great Pierre Thomas. Stay tuned. The Andre Whitehead Radio Show continues.
And of course, Pierre, we see you all buttoned up, looking sharp as usual, doing your job. But people want to know, what is Pierre Thomas like during his downtime? How does the consummate professional journalist relax? What are his hobbies? When he's not Pierre Thomas, if you will, who is he and what does he do?
Well, I have a lovely wife, Allison Renee Westbrooks Thomas, and my son Nathaniel. They are my focus when I'm not at work. And, you know, we spend a lot of time together. We enjoy each other. I'm a big movie fan. I will let that be known. I haven't been really going since the pandemic started, but I'm hoping that as the numbers go down and, you know, that I can get back into the movie theater and I watch frivolous things at the movies. It doesn't always have to be something deep. We like to travel. And I would just describe living a low-key life, pretty much.
What's your favorite movie? Matter of fact, give me your top two. Your favorite top two.
You know, there's no top two, but I'm a fan of Marvel movies. I grew up reading comic books. In fact, comic books were one of the things that really just got me motivated in terms of reading all the time. I read constantly. And who knew that Stan Lee would become the modern day Homer, you know, developing all these new myths, and, you know, that so many people love. And the great thing about his storytelling, and journalism in part is about storytelling, is he developed these rich characters who had flaws
and who were struggling with different things. And, that's what journalism is about too, is covering life as it is, not as we want it to be, but covering life as it is. So I'm a fan of those kind of movies. There's certain other movies that are historical in nature that I might gravitate to, but that might surprise people. I just, I like going to the movie and losing myself. Like Black Panther was a movie that, I enjoyed immensely because it was beautiful to watch. It was a great storyline. The actors were, extraordinary. We lost one of the great young actors, in the last couple of years that, broke my heart. And I can recall, communicating with some of the Disney, one Disney exec who I won't name, who was super proud of the effort and that they put in to what, before it became such a commercial success, no one could guarantee that it would be, but it went on to make billions of dollars. And, and I'm very proud of that effort by Disney because they spared no expense to make that, one of the great movies in recent memory.
Yeah. Oh, I'm amazed that we have that kind of connection. I was a comic book guy as well. I was a Thor man and an Incredible Hulk guy.
Wait, what? Thor? That's my favorite Marvel character. That is my favorite Marvel character. They're only now in the movies really getting to the point where they understand how powerful and great Thor is. I mean, at first, it was like, wait a minute, you guys are kind of not really understanding who Thor is. Come on, get on the team there. So, but it's that's one of my favorite characters. Yeah.
That's it.
You're listening to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show, produced by Whitehead Media Ventures, our independent firm. We thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Our segments from last week will continue as we'll hear more from Ryan Zuderman and why he decided to leave the city of Lynchburg as the police chief. Also, another segment with Phyllis Johnson will happen as she continues to bring us her segment, Thinking Out Loud, and Dr. Keith Anderson will return to talk about dealing with difficult times. At this time, we take you back to my time with Pierre Thomas, White House correspondent. And we'd love to hear from you. Give us some comments, give us some feedback, give us some phone calls, give us some text messages, 434-528-9828. And by the way, use that same number to be our next guest, 434-528-9828.
As we wrap up our time, Pierre, I could talk to you for days, but there are a lot of folks in our profession and in the community at large who have some struggles. We've just seen some of the most beautiful, successful, prominent folks take their own lives and struggle with mental health. And I've been committed since the death of Chesley Chris to ask everybody I interview, how are they doing and how are they maintaining their mental health? How are you doing, Pierre? What are you doing to make sure that your mental health is intact?
Well, look, I always think that it's good to have family and friends. I've got three close brothers, I call them, that are not blood brothers, but I feel like that they are my spiritual brothers and friends that I think there's a scripture that says he who finds a friend has found a good thing. And so, but also just having balance, which is hard to do when you have the kind of jobs that we have where you're constantly on the go and there are always deadlines and work to be done. But, being a person who has faith that's a critical issue. And people that have mental health issues should get the help that they need, professional or otherwise, is what I think. That's just my personal opinion. And it's interesting. You can use your faith to be a well-rounded person. When I'm doing journalism, I'm doing journalism. I'm applying the journalism principles I need to apply. And so I'm not in the moment thinking about faith as I'm doing journalism. But I'm hoping that the kind of faith that I have contributes to me being a good person, an honest person, a truthful person. And that can wash over to all the things that I'm trying to achieve and be in life.
Yeah. Pierre, what would you say to the folks in Amherst, your hometown, your folks in Lynchburg, your folks all throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia and the nation who follow your work and they are so proud of you and they talk about, we pray for Pierre every day. What would you say to folks? And what is that like? And are you able to feel the love that so many people have for you, Pierre Thomas?
Well, you're kind. I must say, when I'm out and, I'm always surprised with how warm people are, especially when I come home. But it could be, California or wherever. The reach of ABC News is incredible. What I would say to them is I appreciate them. I try to do the work in a way that I hope is helpful. And, I have love and respect for all people. And, and anytime someone has something good or to say, or I appreciate all of that goodwill, for sure.
Well, Pierre, thank you for your time. As I said, I know you're busy. If I can slip one more in, what's the next move for you? Or is this the pinnacle of your career at ABC? I know one time I talked to you, you were thinking about writing a book, but are there greater horizons yet to come for Pierre Thomas?
I always think that, I'm far from done. I hope, and, like I said, I'm doing different projects, done some anchoring tied to my reporting. That's important for me. And, I'm looking to just do stories that make a difference, just do stories that, have an impact on the topics that affect many, many people. I think that's the standard, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to be somewhere like ABC News where I can do this kind of work.
That's my guy, an amazing reporter and even a better good guy. I want to thank Pierre Thomas for giving me this interview. We did catch up with him a while back, and we aired this interview on television, and so many of you continually ask me to bring it back. So we thought we'd add it to the radio show. Give us some feedback. What did you think? 434-528-9828. 434-528-9828. Our broadcast is brought to you by the Lynchburg Police Department. They are hiring. If you want to protect and serve the city of Lynchburg, check out the website, joinlynchburgpd.com. When we come back, we'll have so much more of the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. Stay tuned. We're right back in a moment.
The Lynchburg Police Department is now hiring with the highest starting salary in the region of $50,000 and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in? An exciting career, opportunities for growth, and the ability to give back to the community you grew up in? If so, give us a call, 455-6048, 434-455-6048. Learn more at www.lynchburgvapolice.gov.
I'm Tyrone Wade with Whitehead Media Ventures. Here's another word from one of our partners, and you can partner with us as well to get your message out by calling 434-528-9828. Once again, that's 434-528-9828 today.
My name is Dr. Keith Anderson. I am the principal advisor for Anderson Consultants, LLC. We're prepared to support you across a full range of financial service needs so that we can help you get to your goals. We don't sell product, we give service. And so some of the services that we provide are financial planning, insurance, health insurance, life insurance, annuity products, savings plans, 401ks. We can do it all. We partner with over 100 companies throughout the nation, so there's not a time, not an opportunity, that we won't be able to help you. We also have an opportunity to provide property and casualty insurance for our business partners throughout the city and anywhere in the Commonwealth, actually. In fact, I look forward to it being a blessing to you and your business. How? We can come up with a benefit package. We're especially looking forward to partnering with our 1099 employees. Why? Because they don't have the benefit of working with a company. But through Anderson Consultants, we have an insurance benefits package where we can provide health, life, vision, and dental coverage. And listen, I look forward for an opportunity to help you do what you didn't think was possible. But with Anderson Consultants, we're looking for an opportunity to serve you. Contact us at aconsultantsllc@outlook.com or by giving us a call at 434-944-2867. And we'll set up an appointment so that we can do whatever you need us to do. Why? Because you matter to us.
Thanks for joining us for the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. We'd like to assist you. Contact us at Whitehead Media Ventures today. Call 434-528-9828 or email us at whiteheadmediaventures@gmail.com. Let us help you.
Hello and welcome back to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. We thank you all so very much for tuning in. The radio show is brought to you by the amazing News Beast. The News Beast is my 3/4 ton talking news truck, and he has space on his tailgate. If you'd like to have your logo on the back of the beast that travels all throughout Virginia, give me a call, 434-528-9828. At this time, we want to take you to another segment with Miss Phyllis Johnson as she brings us our Thinking Out Loud segment. And also, we'll hear from Ryan Zulema, former police chief of Lynchburg. We interviewed him before he left town. And Dr. Keith Anderson joins us to continue to talk about dealing with difficult times. Here's Miss Johnson.
Good morning. Here we are again with Phyllis Johnson, Thinking Out Loud on the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. I had a plan for this episode, but I can almost promise you that this train is going to run off the tracks. Last week we talked about indigenous cultures. And for a moment we'll carry on with that topic. There's a lot to be learned from indigenous people. Indigenous people have always been community-minded. They looked after the people that lived in their communities. They shared the responsibility for raising children, looked after the sick, and helped the elderly. Indigenous people were not greedy people. They shared what they had because resources were scarce. Since resources were scarce, indigenous people took no more than they needed. And they shared what they had. They lived off of and respected the land. The land was their provider. Clean water was important. The circle of life was important. They knew if they killed all the game in an area, they wouldn't have game for the next season. Differences were respected because it took many talents and skills to continue life. Many indigenous cultures were migratory. They knew how to adapt, and they did so by frequently packing up camp and relocating based on the seasons. Their respect for the earth led them to understand that the earth needed time to replenish itself, for animals to reproduce, to provide food, for plants to reseed so that medicines would be available. And they did so to protect the natural resources for future generations. Then came the British colonists, or for future reference, we'll call them the invaders, because that's what they were. In the beginning, the indigenous people welcomed the invaders. They taught them how to use the natural resources for food, for shelter, for medicines. They were generous. But the invaders were greedy. And the more they learned about the land, the more they wanted. So they began to push the indigenous people off the land and declare it their own. Indigenous people were rounded up and forced onto reservations or land that had no resources. It was the land no one else wanted. There was no limit to the greed of the invaders. And this is where the train may go off the rails. Before I go there, there's some things you need to know about Phyllis Johnson. Phyllis Johnson is neither a Republican nor a Democrat. She is best described as a centrist. I am equal parts left-wing and right-wing. I am a moderate conservative who also believes in social and environmental justice. I am a person who believes that all people were created equal, and that the variations in our colors are what make us beautiful.
The Andre Whitehead Radio Show is brought to you by our friends at Lynchburg Project Lifesaver. This organization helps to find those individuals who may wander due to a medical or mental emergency. Lynchburg Project Lifesaver is administered through the Lynchburg Sheriff's Office, so call 434-847-1301 to get your loved one signed up. That's Lynchburg Project Lifesaver. And welcome to the Andre Whitehead Radio Show, produced by Whitehead Media Ventures. Coming up, we'll have more from the outgoing police chief, Ryan Zudema. We interviewed him before he left town to become the police chief in Wilmington, North Carolina. Also, Dr. Keith Anderson returns to continue to talk about dealing with challenging times. But at this time, we go back to Phyllis Johnson with her segment, Thinking Out Loud.
I believe in the Constitution, and that we all have certain inalienable rights. And I believe that Abraham Lincoln was absolutely right. A house divided cannot stand. And we are more divided today than at any time in our history. And here we are, with many of us believing that the decisions being made by our leadership are for the good of other countries. Our leadership wants us to believe that people of color are bad, that they will be the downfall of our country. Our country will soon be 250 years old. It was founded on the hard work and determination of immigrants. Yet today, our leadership is telling us that most immigrants coming to the U.S. are criminals, drug dealers, or mentally ill. And what is so sad is that many of us believe it. As I watched the tragic news over the last few days from Portland, Oregon and Minneapolis, Minnesota, I found myself with questions. I wondered if the cities that are seeing the highest numbers of Border Patrol agents were communities where there are a high indigenous population. I started questioning, was this about race? Or was it really about illegal immigrants? I don't have the answer. But I also had to remind myself that the woman shot in Minneapolis was Caucasian. So I couldn't make sense of that. I do know that it's not right in my soul that people are going to die for being at a peaceful protest. I've been that person. I believe in standing up and speaking out against injustice. Today I heard our leader say that the only control over the president is his moral compass. Like so many of us, maybe he has stopped listening to his moral compass, or maybe he never had one. The one thing I do know is that we have become an angry nation that is divided, and we are headed for a fall.
Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 434-528-9828. Give us some feedback. What do you think about the radio show? 434-528-9828. Use the same number to be our next guest. 434-528-9828. The Andre Whitehead radio show, as well as our television show and Facebook Live shows that we'll be telling you about at the next break, are also brought to you by our friends at Thorpe Funeral Home and Crematory. This is an amazing organization celebrating the lives of our loved ones. Visit their website, tharpfuneralhome.com. Coming up, Dr. Keith Anderson will join us to continue to talk about dealing with difficult times, and we hear from Ryan Zudema and why he decided to leave the LPD as the chief of police. But this time we go back to Phyllis Johnson as she continues her Thinking Out Loud segment. Stay tuned.
I constantly ask myself, what is the answer? What is the solution? What can I do? What can we do? I get the same 3 answers every time. The first thing I think we should do is put down our phones and computers more often and have face-to-face conversations, or even over the phone, but really communicate in a method other than text messaging. We need that spontaneity of responding to someone's statement or seeing their face filled with pain, or to be able to reach out and touch them in a gentle way. People are hurting. People are lonely. People are sad. People are struggling. And human touch and human voice can change things so profoundly. So let's have more conversation. It doesn't mean we have to agree. We just have to agree to disagree. The second answer I keep coming up with is hold our leaders accountable. Voting matters. I honestly believe we elect good people, but we send them to Richmond or Washington, and they become part of the problem. That power changes them. And once we elect them, we act like it's over. We have a responsibility, in my opinion, to keep in touch with our legislators, to tell them what matters to us, to bring up issues that we feel passionate about. We have got to stop just electing people and then forgetting them. They need to be reminded that it was someone who went to the poll and pulled that lever or made that check mark that put them there. It was someone's money that put them there. Look what money does. It got a whole room full of oil executives into the White House yesterday. Wonder what that was all about. And lastly, and to wrap this up, the last answer I get is to pray. That may be the most powerful thing we can do. And it's the simplest. Doesn't cost a thing. But I hope that something I said today will touch your heart and motivate you to let go of your anger with someone who doesn't agree with you politically. I hope it will encourage you to get to know a person who is of a different color than you. We all have our stories. We all have a history. But if we don't stop acting like sheep, we may not have a future. Do something good for someone else today.
Well, we'd like to thank Miss Phyllis Johnson for joining us. She'll have more next week as she continues her Thinking Out Loud segment. We do appreciate her offering to the radio show. Our broadcast is brought to you by 518 Family Services, strengthening families to help them thrive. Visit the website for a lot of great information, 518.org. And don't miss our Facebook Live shows. We bring you this Facebook Live show, known as the Andre Whitehead Radio Show, every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Thursday nights at 8 p.m., we tackle tough topics of news. Friday nights at 11 p.m., we tell romantic stories. Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., we talk sports. Sunday nights at 9 p.m., we talk politics. Monday mornings, 8 a.m., we share good news. Don't miss our Facebook Live shows. Stay tuned. We have more of the Andre Whitehead Radio Show. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Merle W. Thornhill IV, and I'm here at Tharp Funeral Home and Crematory. Why come visit us here at Tharp? We administer compassion and professionalism here, and we have an on-site crematory where your loved one will stay in friendly staff. Be sure to reach out to us. Our phone number is 434-237-9424, or visit our website at www.tharpfuneralhome.com.
When you're looking for a criminal defense attorney, you need to call the PAC Law Group, 540-586-7225. Again, that's 540-586-7225.